In this video, we will continue our discussion about the effects of Alzheimer disease, or how the Alzheimer disease affects the fundamentals uh, or the rules of cells or the signaling pathway within the cells. So, in this slide, we will cover the apoptosis and cell death pathway. So, in case of normal cell, that is without Alzheimer disease, how things work is that permeable membrane is mitochondria's membrane is not that permeable, so it will not allow more cytochrome C protein that is usually present in mitochondria to leaks out into the cytosol. So some of them, those are leaks out into the cytosol, will attach with F, F APAF1, and then it will bind with uh, caspase 9, and this will activate the caspase 9. Oh, this APAF1 binds with cytochrome C of the mitochondria, which will binds to caspase 9. This leads to the activation of caspase 9, as what I have said earlier. And this caspase 9 is one kind of uh, proteolysis, so it will helps in degradation of a protein, or move them, or helps in the apoptosis of that protein. So the final result of this activation of caspase 9 is the apoptosis, that is degradation of proteins and recycle those uh, parts of proteins for the formation of other proteins. And there is the external stimuli also, and this will activate external stimuli will activate caspase 8 and caspase 10, and this leads to the this also leads to the final outcome of, that is apoptosis, whenever the cytochrome C leaks out the mitochondria. And this is the overall view picture what happens when the apoptosis gets activated. That is, the contraction of cells occurs, and after the contraction of the cells, the part of the cell is segregated into the apoptotic body, and each body will then transfer to the or transfer for apoptosis, uh, like in this case in phagocytosis. This is one kind of apoptosis. However, now in case of Alzheimer disease, what happens is that the plaque of AB, that is amyloid beta, will attach to the surface receptor, and this will activate the downstream signal in the cell in such a way that it will uh, make the membrane of cytochrome or mitochondria more permeable. So this will leads to more leaks of the uh, cytochrome C protein in the cytosols. And since more cytochrome C proteins are now in the cytosols, this leads to overactivation of this caspase 9, and simultaneously it will also activate this simultaneously it will also activate the external stimuli to uh, as the load of this cytochrome C is increases, the external stimuli will also get activated, and the caspase 3 and caspase 9 will get activated. So because of this, the and the activation of this external stimuli will leads to will make the membrane of mitochondria more permeable, so this will leaks out more cytochrome C into the cytosol. So in this case will form a perpetual cycle, and uh, thus the the degree of this apoptosis increases with time in the Alzheimer disease, as it is shown here. The because of neurodegenerative leads to overactivation of this immune system that we have discussed in previous video, that is microglia and astrocytes, and this will leads to neuroinflammation, and this cycle will neuroinflammation will lead to neurodegradation again. This cycle will continue in case of Alzheimer disease the as the plague of AB increases and will affect will attach the surface receptor of the cells. So another signal that we will briefly discuss is the intracellular communication between nervous system pathway, and this pathway, this communication is also plays an important role during Parkinson disease, as we have discussed in Parkinson disease video. So without any kind of disease, that is without any pathology, what happens is that there is a continuous exchange of signal between uh, this post-axon terminal and presynaptic postsynaptic axon terminal and presynaptic axon terminal, as it is shown by the arrow here. The signal from this to goes in, via this receptor into this, and the signal from the presynaptic axon terminal will go into the postsynaptic axon terminal. And however, in case of Alzheimer disease, the plague of AB will attach to this kind of presynaptic axon terminals, and this leads to the inefficient exchange of signal between these two uh, axon terminal, and thus the homeostasis that is established in a healthy person or person that does not have Alzheimer disease will not be with that homeostasis will not be established in, or will not be established to that level in as a person that are affected with Alzheimer disease, as the plague of amyloid beta attached to this receptor on presynaptic axon terminal, and simultaneously this inefficient signaling of inefficient communication between these two axon terminal uh, will leads to more plaques of amyloid beta in the presynaptic axon terminal, as it is shown here, because of the phosphorylation of tau protein, as the tau protein will also increase whenever the inefficient signals communication occurs between neural network, as we can see that in case of without pathology, this APP proteins are less. However, in case of Alzheimer disease, these APP protein are more, and this will leads to phosphorylation of tau protein that leads to the formation of plaques of amyloid beta. And as we know that more the amyloid beta are present, it will lead to uh, more disruption in the normal signaling pathway, as two of the signaling pathway we have discussed in our previous video, and two pathway we are discussing now. So that's all for this video. Thank you for your time.